Hey everyone, I'm Andrew and welcome back to the 2010 Mazda detailing series. Last week in part 1 we went through the entire engine bay and detailed it and cleaned it up, and in today's episode part 2 we're going to be doing a deep dive into the interior of the vehicle, really giving it a nice deep clean with the steam cleaner, the brushes, microfibers, everything top to bottom, just really making the appearance of this interior so much better. I hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's jump into the video. I've decided to go ahead and start with the interior on this, just since we do have so much work to get done. So first step of that is going to be take floor mats out and get access to the carpet underneath. And then I'm also going to remove all of the contents of this car, just to get it out of the way so we have, nice clean access to all the surfaces we need to clean. So let's take this floor mat out. That already gets rid of a lot of the dirt, and we can just shake that out and we can clean those outside of the vehicle. And then I'm just going to get all of the pieces parts out, and then we'll have a nice clean surface to work with. After I had removed all of the owner's personal belongings and separated them out into different bins for the glove box, center console, stuff like that, it was time to start getting out the debris in the carpets and the floorboard and stuff like that. So in order to do that, you just kind of go through with the vacuum, you vacuum up the large pieces, the large debris, and then I came in with a brush like you see me with here, and that's just to help agitate and get things further out of the carpet fibers and stuff like that. So this car had a lot of mud and sand and stuff like that, some stuff that was, and some pet hair that really needed to be worked out of the fibers. So I used a combination of the large carpet brush and then also a smaller nylon bristle brush to work the edges and get everything loose. That way I could come in and vacuum. And then on some of the edges, I do a little bit of a sort of brush and vacuum action at the same time. That allows me to kind of agitate the fibers while also using the vacuum to pull them up and not let them settle back into the carpet. With the floorboards and carpets vacuumed out, it's time to move to the seats, and the story is very much the same here. You use pretty much the same method. I like to use the larger bristled vacuum attachment to kind of do the general part of the seat, and then come back in with the crevice tool like you see me here, and using that nylon brush alongside it. You really want to make sure you get into the crevices of the seat, spread the seams a little bit, and vacuum out gunk that may be stuck in those, because those act like abrasives over time and help break your seat down, so you want to remove those. Be sure you kind of pivot it back and forth, and make sure you just get all the gunk and grime that's hiding in the creases and folds. With the interior of the vehicle vacuumed out, now it's time to get out the McCulloch, and we're going to start working sort of top down. And we're going to hit a couple of these little spots that are in the headliner just to kind of address it. We've got one here. Be sure to get the back side of the visors. Really easy to forget that. Forget to flip them down. And we'll just work our way down. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do a little split test on the seats just to show you guys a difference. We'll see if we get to it or not. Between using a steamer and then just doing it by hand, we'll see what the difference will be there. So yeah, let's get to it. My preferred method for cleaning interior hard surfaces like plastics and vinyls, stuff like that, is just to go in and spray my interior cleaner and then agitate with a brush. This headliner had a little bit of extra hand oils, body oils, whatever, makeup, I don't know what it was. There's just a little bit extra on there, so I went ahead and decided to use the steamer to help loosen that off and just further wipe it down and get it clean. Headliners can be notoriously fragile. So in order to kind of get around that and make sure that I can kind of treat some of the little small rust spots or whatever it was that was hanging out on the headliner, I came in with the steamer and set it down to a really low power, not, spitting out a lot of water or moisture or anything like that. That way we're not working on over soaking the headliner and the adhesive behind it, because we don't want it to sag. So just a small amount of steam, just enough to kind of break loose the stains, and then I come in with a microfiber and I wipe up the stuff that just got loosened up. I found that it worked really, really well in this car, and as I was able to get out most of the little spots that were all over the headliner. As I continued to work my way down, top down on the inside, I switched to a combination of the steamer and then my detailing brush, as well as Meguiar's quick interior detailer. that you can see me agitating here on the sort of center stack, the buttons, the knobs, and things like that. I like avoiding the steamer on the center stack or anywhere where there was like electronic components, just because I don't want to insert or inject any kind of water back behind them. And I found that the detailing brush and Meguiar's interior detailer was doing the trick. So I just went in, sprayed it down, agitated it, and then dry it off with a microfiber, and I found that that got everything pretty clean. For the steering wheel, this is a place, you know, obviously you hold on to it whenever you're driving the car, so there's a lot of hand oils, body oils, you know, sunscreen, dirt, grease, everything that goes onto it, so they can get really, really dirty. So I started hitting it at first to try and save time with the steamer. Went ahead and just, you know, went full blast right at first, and I found that it was starting to have a little bit, just a tiny bit of an adverse effect on some of the plastics on the steering wheel. So I switched over to the detailing brush quickly. You know, you want to go with the least aggressive method to get it done. You have to find the balance between like aggression and then like time efficiency, right? And so that's kind of what I was doing here. And I found the brush to be more effective on sort of the plastic areas where those buttons are. And then the steamer was pretty effective on the more hard plastic and leather areas. The steering wheel is also one of my favorite places to bust out the scrub pad. I just think it handles steering wheels really well because you can kind of contour it around the edge of the steering wheel and really sort of go to town on it, you know, but in a somewhat safe manner and really kind of dig in there and get the dirt out. So get a scrub pad and you'd be surprised at the results you can get with it. With the hard plastics detailed and done, it was time to move on to the upholstery and the carpets. These really presented me with quite the challenge. There was a lot of embedded like body oils, dirts, things like that in the fabric of the seats. So I set up like a whole little split test thing to try and compare the different methods. And I might go ahead and upload that video separately. I'm not going to put it on here because this video would be too long. But what I ended up doing for these seats was sort of a combination of really the steamer, Folex, my interior cleaner, and then my shop vac as an extractor while rinsing with a water bottle. Kind of combining all of those things ended up getting me to the results that I wanted. It was a long process. These seats took me a while. Since they're black, just any little bit of dirt that was left after everything kind of dried would just really show up and pop again, and so I'd have to go back in, and it was just a lot of work to try and get these extracted, but the end result was really good. There was actually one stain on the back passenger seat that was probably the most eye-catching in the entire vehicle, and the owner told me that it was a spilled cobbler mix that had fallen out of the back seat and sort of cooked into the fibers. So that was a lot of fun to remove. While I was running the steamer over it, it began to smell like cobbler inside the car as the steamer heated up that cobbler mix. So that was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, it's so hot, my phone died, and so I was unable to get footage of me actually removing that stain. But it did come out very well. So with the seats and everything done, it was time to move on to doing the floorboards. Okay, here's sort of where we're at on the start of day 4 working on this vehicle. This is the third day of interior detailing. It gets so hot in the middle of the afternoon right now in Texas. Yesterday it was like 108 or something. I just have to call it quits when it starts getting real hot. But yeah, we're up here at the passenger seat. So I've sort of, my process has been, I don't remember if I talked about this before or not. If I did, sorry, but my process has been, I started on the driver's side, right? And I've worked my way around the car, sort of in like a U shape, you know? And so this is the last little section that I need to hit, and then we should have the interior finished finally. And it is really coming along. Here's the method I just found the most useful for kind of cleaning the tight areas in the door jambs. So got some ONR, it's diluted as a quick detailer ratio. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I just sprayed all of this down to kind of like, you know, loosen the dirt just a little bit. And then you come in with a detailing brush and then you start just kind of breaking that dirt up. Because I found that just using the steamer alone after ONR, it wasn't quite cutting through the dirt, but the brush was able to kind of loosen the dirt, and then I can come in with the steamer and I can just like blast it away. I'm getting a lot of water gurgling there because it's been sitting for a second, but all the dirt that I just loosened with the brush, you can then blow away with the steamer. So I found that to be about the most effective method so far. The process for the carpets in this car ended up being very similar to the process on the seats. I just came in with some Folex to add sort of a surfactant stain removing action, agitated that with my drill brush, and then came in and heated it up with the steamer and a microfiber to kind of begin to loosen and absorb some of that dirt. And then I finished up the extraction of the dirt with the shop vac and the hot water spray bottle rinse. Here's a look at the floor mats. I just wanted to make a little point to talk about these real quick. Since it was so hot, I didn't really want to bother with being outside anymore. And so what I did was, once I went in, I kind of picked everything up yesterday and went inside to cool off. I actually put these into the washing machine because I noticed they're pretty sturdy. So I figured that they could hold up to the washing, and they did. They did fine. What I did was I just came in with, since they were, pretty grimy, I just came in with some degreaser, that super clean that I was using before, and this was before I put it in the washer. I super cleaned them and then came in with my drill brush, and I went across and just kind of agitated up all the dirt, and then I left the super clean on them, put them into the washing machine, and let them soak with some OxyClean. They probably sat for about an hour or so, and then I came in and I actually did a wash cycle on them with some regular detergent and some more OxyClean to kind of boost that. And this is how they came out, so pretty good. I don't have to bother getting the pressure washer out. There is one spot on one of them I'm going to have to try and hit, but otherwise I think they came out pretty great. So we'll put those back in the vehicle once we get the rest of the interior done. Okay, so I still have quite a bit of sand in these floor mats even after washing them. So what I'm going to try is using a smaller sander without any sandpaper attached to kind of vibrate the particles out. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to vacuum. I'll probably put on the sort of narrower spot attachment, whatever. And we're just going to sand to kind of vibrate it. Or yeah, we're going to use the sander to vibrate the sand out of the floor mat and vacuum at the same time. So let's see how that goes. Just to save y'all's ears from the very loud sander right there next to my phone, this method did actually work really well. As you can see in the video, it is sort of bouncing those sand particles up to the surface, which then allows me to come in and then use the vacuum to pull them up out of the carpet. So this worked really well. Another method that people will do is they'll use one of those massage gun things, but I don't have one of those. I did have this sander. So just take the sandpaper off, let the backing plate vibrate the floor mat, and you'll be able to pick up a lot of the particles that don't want to come out with just brushing and vacuuming alone. With the floor mats, the carpets, all the plastics, the seats, everything done, now it's time to go ahead and come in, and I like to add a little bit of UV protectant to the hard plastics and the vinyls and the rubbers on the interior. And in order to do that, I just use a little bit of Aerospace 303. I really like this stuff. It doesn't leave a greasy finish, and it just gives you a little bit of UV blocking protection to help keep those plastics from cracking, fading, all that kind of stuff. It leaves a nice matte finish, not greasy, not oily, so I really like this stuff. It also sort of adds a little bit of sort of a darkening kind of effect too. It kind of rehydrates the plastics. So this is sort of my last step. I like to dress, and then I also could go in and do windows. I didn't today because I knew I was going to be pulling this into the garage most likely, since there was going to be rain in the forecast. And so I was going to wait and save the windows for when it was in the garage. The glass was cool, which makes it a lot easier to get streak-free windows. But once I get this dressing on, the inside is done. So let's take a look at some before and after shots to wrap this thing up. All right, there you have it. There's the entire interior of this Mazda cleaned up. This was really quite a big task to tackle. I mean, there was a lot going on in here and definitely took several days in really like almost brutal Texas heat to get this done, but it came out looking so much better than it was before. I'm thrilled with the results. I hope y'all enjoyed that deep dive into the process of getting this car's interior clean. If you did, be sure to give a like and also subscribe to the channel to get ready for part 3 that's coming up, where I'm going to go through the exterior wash process and everything that goes along with that and getting the exterior of the vehicle to look as nice as we can. So that's coming up in part 3. Thank you guys for watching this one and hope to see you on the next one.